The fact that football allows something like this to happen, where Barcelona relegates city rivals Espanyol, makes it so it's literally one of the best sports you could see. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? Bullies here, more back to another video here on the channel. And just before we begin off this video, I want to say that I'm coming from a direction not bragging that Barcelona are able to relegate Espanyol. Some of you may want to take that approach, but my approach is simply that it's sport. Like, it's sport, is football, and these are things that happen within it, and it's so weird, so special, things that someone I bet has written on a book before, and they just magically happen. And we're gonna be talking more about their actual relegation at the far end of this video. But first of all, let's get right into what we saw in this game where Barça beat Espanyol 1-0 at the Camp Nou. This derby, the last derby probably for a while, hopefully just a year in Primera División, where Barça scored through Luis Suarez. So before the game actually started, we saw that Quique Setien was going to employ the 4-1-2-1-2, and if you have been living under a rock and do not know what this formation actually entails and why it's different from a 4-3-3, you can go and check a video where we describe exactly why this formation is good for Barcelona, but more particularly it will be good for Antoine Griezmann and the so-called MSG. On top of that, we can say that the incorporation of Ivan Rakitic really wasn't that much of a surprise. I could tell you that Quique Setien was 100% trying to find which of the two midfielders would fit better into that system, because Arturo Vidal didn't play that good for the first 45 minutes against Villarreal. He didn't really seem to mold himself into that formation, so he was trying to see whether Rakitic would play good here against bottom of the table Espanyol. However, I need to stress that Quique Setien needs to find an answer ASAP, because the game that we saw today against Espanyol was one which was very underwhelming. I would like to make now a recall to the last video of the 4-1-2-1-2 formation, because there I said that this kind of new style of play can actually be beneficial to Barcelona, but we have to wait and see how we perform against a defensive block, a defensive unit. And guess what? Espanyol today, of course, hanging on to the last opportunity to stay within La Primera División. Of course, they're gonna be playing a defensive block. And let me tell you guys that for the very first 45 minutes, Barcelona didn't do that well with the 4-1-2-1-2 against a defensive unit. Barcelona really struggled, and the same problems that we've been seeing before with the 4-3-3, with the 4-4-2 are still here and are still prevailing. Jordi Alba and Nelson Semedo, which were supposed to be one of the main outlets for creation in this formation, the front three helps it out, but when we need to find kind of plays that are much more wide and we actually need and require those flanks to open a team up, Jordi Alba and Semedo were not doing the job. Why? Because they couldn't go as far up the field, because Espanyol was defending with 8 men in defense. Like, they could get there, but they could never overlap, they could never penetrate. And with those two being your main outlets, you needed more players to be able to open them up. The 4-1-2-1-2 formation is good, and for any sense, any formation is also good if you play it the right way, but you also have to understand and read the opponent. And this is one thing that Barcelona has been missing out since, I would say, Luis Enrique and Pep Guardiola. Ernesto Valverde and Quique Setien are two managers that they have one thing on their mind, and is what is the formation that I have to put in here to please the players, either or just because I think it's the right choice. Barcelona here made a very big mistake, because against Espanyol, Quique Setien needed to understand that perhaps Rakitic might not be the best of options, and neither Arturo Vidal. Someone like Riqui Puig could have been much more beneficial. We need to mold ourselves to the opposition that we're gonna be facing. For instance, in the 4-1-2-1-2, we could have dropped, for instance, someone like Luis Suarez and then put Ansu Fati. Or if you really wanted to, just put Riqui Puig from the get-go instead of Ivan Rakitic. These sort of changes are gonna make Barcelona to be much better from the get-go, and these are things that you can kind of tend to read, because if you're a manager, you tend to predict what the opposition manager is gonna be doing. And let me tell you, it's not that hard to guess that the kind of strategy that Espanyol is going to follow in a game like this is simply going to try and defend and just hit you on the counter. It's literally all Espanyol can do. And the worst part, guys, is that Barcelona not creating in this game came at the cost of Espanyol doing a lot of damage. Barcelona here are doing something that is very dangerous, because since they're not finding a way to kind of open a defense up, especially like a tight one where Espanyol are not parking a bus, man, they're parking a double-decker truck right there. But if they're not trying to find and open that up, they're just putting more numbers forward, they're just adding more players, and then they're becoming much more vulnerable when they're trying to defend, because Espanyol on the counters man, they blitz through Barcelona really, really easily. And we're talking about players that are not nearly good enough to be able to be doing that for Barcelona. Barcelona is allowing Espanyol to do those counterattacks. Are you telling me that Embarba, Raúl de Tomás are just simply the best forward players in La Liga? No, they are not. But how are they able to just skip through so fast past Jordi Alba, Clement Lenglet, and Gerard Piqué, or adding to that Nelson Semedo or Cedric Roberto when they was playing in the right back position? It was very easy for Espanyol to get chances into the area. And by the end of the 45 minutes, guys, I can clearly tell you, and all of you as well, that Espanyol had the clearer chances, and the best player on the field right there was Marc-André Ter Stegen, because he was making save after save. When we come down to this conclusion, we can tell that something is not going our way, and that is why Quique Setien, Ernesto Valverde, all the managers that tend to do this, and I can add number to the list, like Unai Emery, for instance. Managers that start with one idea and they just keep to it from the get-go, they suffer. They need to start taking those risks before the team is even selected, and that is why the lineups are so important, because one of the reasons that Ernesto Valverde failed was because he was making mistakes before the game even happened. He was trying to fix what he didn't go right at the start by substitutions. And Quique Setien to some extent has been able to do so as well in games, for instance, against Atletico Madrid, when he brought Antoine Griezmann so late into the game, or he brought Ansu Fati later on and he wanted to change something. No, you need to play the players that deserve there, not only because they're doing better in training and they're actually performing better on the field, but because you think and you believe that they can have and do a job against your opposition. Here, Riqui Puig was so essential because he's one of the main creative figures that we have in that midfield. And now, because Arturo seems just to be completely 100% off the record, Riqui Puig is probably the only player that can do that. But then, guys, came the second half, and I was thinking for the first 45 minutes, what the hell am I gonna comment on my video? But thankfully, some crazy shit went down in the last 45. We saw 2 red cards in the space of what? 2 minutes? 2 minutes, yeah, to be honest. Ansu Fati came in right from the get-go, and this was a good substitution that Quique Setien really was calling out for. And I believe this is something that I wanted to see. I really wanted to see how Barcelona were going to be playing with a 4-2-3-1, because we had in that moment on the field Ansu Fati, Luis Suarez, Antoine Griezmann, and Lionel Messi. So it was going to be very interesting how we did with all those 4 attackers. But unfortunately, Ansu Fati came to a very difficult challenge he did on Fernando Calero, the center back from Espanyol, and it was a red card. Yeah, guys, it was a red card. I don't understand why people say it's 50-50, man. If you go with your stats up at that height of the leg, that is deadly. That could potentially break your leg. That was a red card, and I have no problem with it. And I think Ansu Fati doesn't have any problem with it either, because he's just gonna watch that replay, he's gonna learn from it and not commit the same mistake. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's a red card, because he completely went on full martial karate kid on Fernando Calero, and that is not acceptable on a football pitch. Perhaps from a contact point of view, the one that Lozano committed on Piqué was a little bit softer, but because it was higher up on the leg, it makes it potentially more deadly. So it of course was going to be a red card as well. So then soon like that, Barcelona and Espanyol are both led with 10 men, and that was going to just give Barcelona much more benefits than it would have given Espanyol. To be completely honest, guys, not trying to be cliche or anything, this was a turning point for this game, because now Espanyol and Barcelona were both in 10-10, and you may initially think, okay, this is actually what, level, right? It's kind of 50-50. But no, it's actually way more to the side of Barcelona, because Espanyol has 1 less man to defend with, and they have less players for more space, and that is what Barcelona just went on completely ham on Espanyol after that. The first kind of 10 minutes, I would say, after that incident gave Barcelona the front foot, because we saw the MSG combining. I almost said the MSN. But the MSG were combining, and we saw the very first goal. It was a good pass from Griezmann onto Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi then shoots, and then he finds Luis Suarez, which just puts it into the back of the net. And Luis Suarez, with that goal, making himself the 3rd biggest ever all-time goal scorer for Barcelona. And that is huge. I don't see that many people talking about it, but that is honestly huge. And after that, guys, nothing really much happened. We saw the incorporation of Arturo Vidal, we saw the incorporation of Martin Braithwaite, and that was basically it. Barcelona just didn't need to do much more, because Espanyol were going to throw basically everything in el asador. That's something that you say basically in Spanish. It's like saying you're just gonna go all out attack, because they needed to win this game. And with this, I just want to comment briefly. I want to give a section to Espanyol here on this video because it's very unfortunate, to be completely honest, that your rivals are getting relegated. And I want them to do good. I want them to come back next year because it just makes Barcelona, not the club, but Barcelona the city, a little bit more of a kind of spotlight of football in Spain. And by not having Espanyol there, you're gonna be really missing something out. Since I started watching football, Espanyol were always there, literally always there, and I never would have anticipated for them to go down. The matches against them were always very, very hard, and even to this day, perhaps it wasn't as exciting as before, but it always gives you those little moments where, for instance, today we have the 2 red cards in very quick succession. So I have to admit and say that it's going to be a big loss for next season, and I just want to see Espanyol come back stronger. They have some good players as well. Marc Roca, very good. Raúl de Tomás, he has everything in him to be a very good striker in La Liga. Literally, he's such a bull. He just does everything. He works so hard. So hopefully they'll find their way into the first division sooner rather than later. And if you wanted for me to hate on Espanyol just for the sake that I could, literally because I could just say Espanyol, oh losers, you're not gonna get it from me because I'm not the kind of person, you know? I enjoy the rivalry, it makes it better, it makes the derbies much more special. But now we don't have that, and we're basically losing another kind of point, another X that we're gonna mark on a calendar, we're losing it. So that is not good for me. You're losing another spectacle, you're losing another show. So good luck, Espanyol. Have fun in the Segunda División for as long as it takes you, and then come back stronger. So yeah guys, that's gonna be everything for today. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Be sure to check out that video that we did explaining the formation, the new style of Barcelona basically. I know that La Liga is becoming increasingly more difficult. Barcelona are still in the title race if Real Madrid loses some points. We have to say that. We have to admit it. But this formation might actually help us for the Champions League and the other games to come. So yeah, indeed. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.